Hey everyone, and welcome to Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Today we're going to be doing another itty bitty knit kit that I got from Five Below. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in, and for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, I am continuing my viewer request list to do these itty bitty knit kits from Five Below, and today we're going to be doing Sublime. I don't know if this is a twist off of the band, but I like the name, and I do like the band. But anyway, let's check out and see what this kit has. So if you turn around to the back, it has stuffing, yarn, some felt sign here, plastic needle, some pipe cleaners, and knitting needles. This kit was made by the company Bright Stripes. You can go on their website, but I have not seen these kits. I've gone to Five Below on their website, and they have them, or at least some of them. So I would go check either one out, because they do have other kits if you're interested. But anyway, these videos here is a supplement to the instructions that you'll find in this box. So if you would like to make this Sublime plushie, I highly recommend that you get this either at Five Below or on their website. I will be going over new stitches at least 3 times step by step, and running through each instructions to see if there's any confusion there. If you need to speed up or slow down the video, click on the gear button in the corner. There's playback options to go fast or slow. If you don't need to hear me talk, you can lower the volume on your device and click on the CC close caption button. Alright, so let's open this up. I don't know why they insist on taping this. I mean, I get it, but there's this little tab. It's supposed to close the box. Maybe they need to do some repackaging if they're worried about that. Alright, so here's the instructional booklet. Here is the little paper bag of accessories. You've got the felt piece here, some stuffing, we have our knitting needles, and then we also get the pipe cleaners and plastic needle. So I'm going to put these in here for now so they don't get dirty. And set it aside. And then in here is the yarn. So we have 1, 2, 3. Is it only 3 colors? Yes, so 3 colors. Hopefully it'll be enough. These kits usually have enough yarn, typically. So alright, what I like about these instructions is it has illustrations and text for those that need to, you know, if they're a more visual learner versus just reading it. Then also what I like about these instructions is that it comes with its own ruler, so you don't have to go get your own ruler. I have my own, but it's very convenient. Okay, so for these instructions, we're going to start to make our rectangles, and all together we're going to be doing 3. So I guess we'll start with this color here. So now what I like to do with these little balls of yarn like this, I like to get the yarn in the middle of these things. So if you can kind of find your way in here. This is actually a little difficult, so I don't know if I'll be able to find the middle, but I'm gonna pull a chunk of yarn out of this, and I'm gonna hope that one of the pieces here is the other end. Surely out of this is the other end. It's a lot, but sometimes you get lucky and then you just pull the other end out. But the point of doing this is that when we get more yarn, it won't be rolling around, it just pulls out of the end. So you will eventually use up this yarn, so it's not that big of a deal. But if you don't like your yarn spinning around everywhere, I would pull it out from the middle. Alright, so now we have to separate a good amount of this for the tail. So I'm going to take the ruler, okay, and I'm going to measure out the distance that the instructions asks you to do. Okay. Now I'm going to keep pinching that spot. We're going to take the tail end. This is the tail end, the other end here. We're just going to drape it downward. I'm going to switch my fingers, but keep pinching where that tail distance is. And I'm going to switch my finger again, because what we're going to do now is create a slip knot to put onto our needle. So keep this nice pinched a little tight so that it doesn't move. Then we're going to take our middle and ring finger and just hold this a distance apart. This end here you can keep a little loose because we're going to need to grab our yarn. You want to take your fingers like this, put it under the yarn and push up. We're going to twist downward to make this loop. Then I'm going to grab the yarn with my index and middle finger and pull through the loop. So now we have this huge knot that we're going to want to tighten up. So tighten up your knot and try to tighten up close to your thumb. So we're going to keep pushing the knot until it can no longer move anymore. And once you get to that point, you can take your tail and pull it out just a little bit more to make that knot nice and snug. You don't have to pull it too hard. So now I'm going to grab the knot and I'm going to take my feeder yarn. That's the side that's connected to the spool of yarn there. I'm going to start slowly pulling this so that I can make a more manageable loop. Like this. Alright. Once we get to a decent size, we're going to take our knitting needle and slip it right in here. And you can tighten this up a little bit by pulling the feeder yarn again. So that's a slip knot onto your needle. Now the next steps are to throw up some stitches onto your left needle here. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to show you two ways. The first way is with 2 needles. So this might be a little too complicated, but I'm going to show maybe somewhat an easier way to do this after this, but I don't prefer that way because there's a little waste of yarn when you do it. Alright, so to slip stitches onto your left needle, we're going to take our right needle and slip that into the slip knot as well. So you have 2 needles into this loop. Now, when we do these projects, they're mostly using, or only using actually, the knit stitch. The knit stitch is the most basic stitch in knitting. It's very common and you can use it over and over again to make so many different things. So what we're going to do is we're going to start ourselves in knitting position, knit stitch position. So what you want to do is cross your needles in an X like this. you want to have your left needle on top and your right needle at the bottom. We're going to have our tail end down here, and we're going to have our feeder end up here. But yes, so whenever you start a knit stitch, you want to be in this X position here. So I'm going to gather up some yarn around my finger like this. Okay. And what we're going to want to do, I want to hold this tail end out of the way. But what you want to do is we're going to create our first stitch by using the feeder yarn. So for a knit stitch, you're always going to go back to forward. Okay, so when you do a knit stitch, it's always back to forward. So you have this yarn here. You want to always keep your needles, two needles touching each other. But I'm going to drag this down. You're going to feel or hear a little snap when you pull your yarn down. Okay. So now we're in this position here. You have the yarn that you pulled down. Your needles are touching. What we're going to want to do now is we're going to slide this left needle down the right over the point to the other side, and you always want to keep your needles touching. So when we do this, this right needle is going to force a loop, pulling the feeder yarn through here. So let me show you how to do that. Slide the left over the right like this. Always keep it touching. We're going to slide over the point, and it's forcing the feeder yarn to go through that loop. Okay. And you just continue to slide down. Now on your right needle, you have this completely new stitch. What we're going to do is put this stitch onto the left needle. So take your left needle and put that into the new stitch. We're going to pull it off of the right stitch. So now you have 2 stitches on your left needle. Now let me show you how to do this again. Stick your needle into the next stitch here. We're going to go into knitting stance. So cross your needles, left needle on top, right needle on the bottom. We're going to take our feeder yarn and we're going to go back to forward and down. You're going to feel or hear a snap. Then we're going to slide the left needle over the right needle. So we'll slide it down now. Keep your needles touching at all times. It's going to force the feeder yarn through that loop. And then we're going to take this new loop that we have here and throw it up on the left needle. So now we have 3 stitches. I'm going to show you this one more time. Stick your needle into this new loop here. Make your X, left needle in the front, right needle in the back. We're going to take the feeder yarn, we're going to go back to front and snap it down. Then we're going to slide the left needle over the right, keeping touch with each other. It's going to force the feeder yarn through that loop to create a new stitch, and we're going to throw that one up on the left needle and slip it off the right. Alright, so now we have 4. Now, in case you are struggling with this, and if you really wanted, I don't recommend it, but if you really wanted, you can throw stitches up here by hand. So what we're going to do is take the feeder yarn, put your 2 fingers just under it. We're going to twist down to create this loop, and then we're going to throw it up on the needle and then pull the excess. Okay. Again, take your 2 fingers underneath the feeder yarn. We're going to turn it and twist it down, creating this loop. Then we're going to throw it up on the needle and tighten it up. One more time, you guys. So from underneath the yarn, we're going to twist and turn it down, creating this loop, and then throwing it up on the left needle, and we're going to tighten it up. Now, don't do anything yet. You can decide which way you like, and I'll show you if you want to remove these. I'll show you how to remove them. But anyway, I'm going to show you why I don't prefer this way. So we're gonna I'll show you how to do the next steps. I just want to show you what it looks like when we continue. Right, when we make our next row, there's this huge gap that happens, and eventually it will disappear, but it's not as good as creating stitches with 2 needles. So you see how it's leaving this huge gap, and then when we do this one too. So throwing up the stitches manually like this is easier and faster, but at the same time it's messy. So alright, I'm gonna undo this and make pretend I didn't do anything yet, because I'm going to show you how to take these stitches off. Okay. And it's fairly easy. So if you had done these with me, it's easy to get rid of them. So these ones I want to keep. I'm just going to slide these off the needle, and they just unravel, and then you can continue on your way. Same thing if you want to do the throw up and you don't want these first 3 that we did using the needle, you can always remove it, slip it off the needle, pull it, it'll unravel, and then you can start over and throw up your stitches. Okay, but for me, I'd rather do it this way because you don't get that gap when you do the next row. But I'm just going to continue the rest of the stitches, and then I'm going to show you the next steps. Alright, so I've created all the stitches I need for this. Then next I'm going to show you how to do the next round. So what you're going to want to do is stick your needle into this stitch right here. Okay, again, we're going to go back to forward and down. You're going to hear it or feel it snap. Then we're going to slide the left needle over the right and back, forcing the feeder yarn through that loop. Now from here, we have our new stitch on our right needle. We have to remove the stitch off of our left. So slip this off, and then we can do the next stitch. So however many stitches you have on this side, you typically want to have the same number of stitches on the right side. So we're basically just creating new stitches and trading them from the left to the right. So again, stick your needle into the next stitch. We're going to take our feeder yarn from back to front and down. We're going to slide our left over our right, and then we're going to remove the stitch off of our left needle. So now we have two, and then we have the remaining here. Let's do this with you guys one more time. Stick your needle into the next stitch. We're going to take our feeder yarn from back to front and down. Then we're going to slide the left over the right, and then remove this stitch off of the left. So now we have 3 on the right and the rest on the left. So I'm going to complete this all the way down, and then I'll show you what to do next. Alright, so I finished all the stitches. So the idea was to get all the left and move it to the right. Now that we've done that, we just have to flip these needles. So to start the next round, you can take your left needle and put it in your right hand. Then I'm going to take the right needle and I'm just going to flip it like this, and so that it's on our left side. Now when you do that though, this feeder yarn here, here's the tail end. You don't want to hold the feeder yarn back like this because you're creating 2 loops now doing that. You want to keep it down and back so that you see, like, now it's only 1 loop. So definitely don't hold it like this. Hold it like that, down into the back. When I was starting out, I would do this and I would end up knitting extra stitches and it would bow out my project. It looked like a skirt. Okay, so let's avoid that. So keep it down and back. And then from here, what we're going to do is the same knit stitches. So you want to stick your needle into this stitch here. We're going to go back to front and down and slide the left over the right and remove it off the left needle. Then we're going to stick our needle into here, back to front and down, slide the left over the right, remove it off the left, and then we're going to do one more with you guys. Okay, back to front and down, remove off of the left needle. So we have 3 and then the rest here. Now I'm just going to continue doing this until we have all the length that the instructions are requiring.
les cheveux blonds, n'est-ce pas? C'est très bien. Vous reconnaissez cet tableau? C'est un tableau de mon père. Il débute. C'était comme là.
Alright, so it's at the length that it needs to be in. I'm going to show you how to cast this off. So what we're going to do is knit 2 stitches. Here's 1. And then here's 2. Now to start casting off, we're going to take this stitch right here and we're going to leapfrog it over the next one, off the right needle, and then off the left needle. So now we only have 1 stitch left on this needle here. Next we're going to knit another stitch. So you're going to need 2 stitches to leapfrog over each other. So pick up this stitch here, we're going to leapfrog it over the next stitch, and then remove it off the right needle and remove it off the left needle. So now we have 1 stitch again. So let's knit 1, so we at least have 2. Then we're going to lift this loop here and lift it over the right and off the left. Now let me just do this one more time with you guys. So into the next stitch, we're going to knit a new stitch here. Then we're going to lift this loop over the next loop, off the right needle, off the left needle. And you're just going to keep doing this until you're down to your last loop. Alright, let's see, so I'm going to cut about 1 inch or so, and then I'm going to yarn over, which is taking this feeder yarn over the needle. Then I'm going to leapfrog this stitch over the yarn over, remove from the right, remove from the left. Then we're going to pull this all the way out, tighten up this stitch here, and then we're going to do the next rectangle. Alright, so now we're going to be doing the second rectangle. We're going to put this off the side here, and hopefully we have enough. So this one is going to be smaller, but it's talking about, oh, alright, this one actually needs a tail to it, So, all right, let's measure off the tail. Okay, we're gonna use our handy dandy ruler. All right. Keeping this pinched, we're gonna keep the tail down and the feeder yarn up. We're gonna switch these a couple of times just to get it in the right holding position. Pinch this hard, don't let go, and then we're gonna take our middle and ring finger and hold it apart, and this you can keep kind of loose because we're gonna take our two fingers here, we're gonna push this up and turn it down. So now we have this loop. I'm going to take my index and middle finger and just grab this yarn here and pull it through that knot. So now we have a huge knot here. I'm going to try to make this knot smaller by and keeping it close to my thumb. This is going to give it that as close to possible tail end length that they're asking for. And once you get to a point where you can't push it down any further, I'm going to take my index and thumb and we're just going to pull this out like this. Make that knot a little tighter. Don't pull it too tightly. Then I'm going to grab the knot and I'm going to pull the feeder yarn to make this a more manageable loop. Okay, and once we've made it to a decent size to put a needle in, you can stop pulling. I'm going to take my needle and we're going to slip that through the loop. I'm going to gather up some yarn here and we're going to start throwing up some stitches. You can do it the manual way with your hand, or you can do it with the needles. I'm going to do it with the needles. So slip your other needle in here, get into your knitting position. Plus I feel like this way it's a lot neater. For anyone that has any like perfection issues like I do, I just find this a better way to make more uniform stitches. All right, let's throw up the number of stitches the instructions are asking you to do. All right, once you have your stitches on here, again, we're going to start off with the new row. And in case you forgot, I'll do the first three. Stick your needle into the first loop here. We're going to knit a stitch. And then we are going to keep the stitch on the right and then remove that loop on the left. So we're just transferring the number of stitches from left to right. So let's knit another one. Okay, remove the loop off the left, keep the new stitch on the right. Okay, knit, remove the loop off the left, keep the new stitch on the right, and we're just going to continue this all the way down. Okay, and so we're just going to keep doing this until we reach the size that the instructions require, and then we're going to move on to the last rectangle using the lighter lime. I'm going to just call it lime, I guess. These are all like what, neon green, lime, I don't know. But I'm going to do the rest in silence. All right, so ideally I think I would want one more row, but this is all I have left. So we're going to fasten off, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So basically you want to knit 2 stitches. Okay. And then we're going to leapfrog this stitch over the next one, and then off the right needle and off the left needle. So now we have 1 stitch left on our right needle. We're going to knit 1 more because you always want 2 stitches on your right when casting off. And we're going to repeat the same thing. Leapfrog this stitch over the next and off the right needle. 1 more time, knit another stitch. I might actually have to take back a row because I don't think I'm going to make it. Yeah, I'm not going to make it. All right, you guys, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to dial it back 1 row. Hopefully you didn't do what I did, but I'm running out of yarn, so hold on a second. All right, so I did dial it back a row. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't have any yarn left. So, again, I'm going to catch up where you guys are at. I'm going to knit 2 stitches. All right. Then I'm going to leapfrog this loop over the next, off the right, and then off the left. Knit another one. Okay. We're going to leapfrog this stitch off over the next, off the right, and then off the left, and this is where you should be now. Knit 1 more. We're going to leapfrog this stitch off over the next and off the right needle, off the left needle. So we're just going to keep doing this until we have 1 stitch remaining on the right needle. Okay, and then once you're left with the 1 stitch, what we're going to do is yarn over. So yarn over with the feeder yarn. We're going to leapfrog this over that yarn over, off the right needle, off the left needle. Then we're going to pull the right needle all the way out, and you're going to tighten up that stitch by just pulling on this. And then we have our second square. Just see if it's out of curiosity. Yeah, I think it just made it. So now we are going to do the last rectangle. This one's going to be a little bit of a doozy, so bear with me. You're going to take out your white yarn. Okay. And we have to measure up the tail. Let's do that now. Okay. Hold that pinch and keep it in the same spot. We're doing the tail down here. The feeder is up here. There's not much yarn for this white, so it's all falling off my table. But try to keep that up and away, separate from the tail. You don't want to confuse the tail, because then you might start using the tail instead of the feeder, and you're going to run out real quick. All right. So again, with the slip knot, one more time I'm going to show you guys. Keep this pinched. We're going to take our middle and ring and hold it apart. You can keep this a little loose. Take your 2 fingers, come up. We're going to twist and turn down to make this loop. Then with our index and middle, we're going to grab this yarn and pull it through that huge knot. So now we're going to take that huge knot and make it smaller. and try to close it close to your left thumb so we can maintain the distance of tail required. Then what we're going to do, just to tighten up this knot a little bit more, we're going to pull the tail just a little bit. And then once we get to this position here, we're going to pinch the knot a little, not so tight, because we're going to pull on the feeder yarn, not the tail yarn, but the feeder yarn, until we get a more manageable size loop, because we're going to stick our needles in here. And again, you can throw up manual stitches like I showed you before, or you can just use your other needle. I'm going to use my other needle. So from this point, you want to throw up the number of stitches they're asking you to make. We're going to do that real quick here, because we're going to be changing colors with this one. So and I hope we have enough. So okay, and then once you get the number of stitches you need, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is going to be enough yarn. What are these people thinking? It says to tie to knit 2 rows. This is all the yarn we have left. I don't know how much you have left, but it looks like that we have to do another 2 final rows with the white. So I'm going to consider this one here as technically 1 row. Maybe that's what they intended. Either way, I'm going to just say I'm going to knit 1 more time, because I don't have enough yarn to do the last 2 rows. So if anyone decides to knit 2 rows, let me know. Yeah, I'm not going to chance it. I tried pushing it with the last rectangle, and it was a no-go, obviously. So, but the trick is, I mean, the thing is like, if you do end up running out of yarn, you can either add your own yarn, and hopefully it's the same match, or you can just remove a row, and you just have to dial it back, which I didn't really show you, but if anyone wants to see how to undo stitches, you can just comment below, and then I'll do like a quick video on how to dial back your stitches in case you mess up or forgot to change colors. Once upon a time, I was making a striped scarf and I totally forgot to change colors, and I had done so many rows of the wrong color, and I had to undo a good chunk of the scarf. So if you want it. But anyway, so I did 2 rows, and then we're just gonna do a simple cut and tie to switch to the lime, the lighter lime, or you know, I think this is just lime, to be honest, but okay. So I'm going to cut about 1 inch or so off of this, and we're just going to legit tie it. I'm going to try to tie it close to the stitch so that we can, like, straight away. You can just start knitting, but I like it to be anchored. You know, it's just easier for me that way. But you can leave a tail end and start just knitting with the lime if you want. Alright. So, for this, it does, so all these rectangles specify a number of rows that you can make. I don't go off by that. I go by the dimension. So if it gives you a set of inches, I'm gonna go by the set of inches, just because everyone's stitching is different. It could be tighter, looser, you know, however style you have it. So you can have the same number of rows that they say, but if it doesn't measure the length that it's supposed to be, when you create your little sublime, it could be longer, it could be shorter, but if you keep it to the same measurement, then it's going to be the same as how they had it. So that could mean you might need to add more rows or less rows. Less is great because that means less yarn you're going to use. So if you're ever in a situation like me, you won't be like, you know, kind of making it short because you're running out of yarn. But so I am just knitting like we always do. The only difference was we cut the white and I tied on the lime. So now what I'm going to do, you guys, I'm just going to continue to knit this throughout until I get close to the size length that they're requiring you to do. And then I'm going to come in and show you how to tie back in the white to finish off this rectangle. That was a lot, but hopefully you got it. Alright, so in silence. All right, well, funny thing, I don't have enough. We are lining this up with how long it's supposed to be, and I am shy of a couple. I think, you know, comfortably, we do have the 2 white rows left. Comfortably, maybe I'd want 1 or 2 more of the lime, but this is how much lime I have left. So we're just gonna switch to white, and this is the white. So hopefully I even have enough white to finish. So that being the case, I'm going to try to keep the white to a minimum tying this so that the tail of the white isn't as long as this green. But, you know, let's cut this. Actually, I can't even. Okay. But I'm going to tie this a couple of times to make sure that we secure this knot. Again, you can just start knitting with it and then tie it later, but I prefer to just do it now so that when I'm tugging and pulling, I'm not going to accidentally lose any stitches. Alright. Alright, and then we're just going to hope for the best. Let's see. Alright. So we're going to do 2 rows of the white. And we're actually going to cast off. I'm going to do... So, in the beginning, we threw up some stitches, and then it says knit 2. So you'd make, after you throw up your stitches on your needle, you went one way and then another way, and that's 2 rows, right? In this situation, it says to knit 2 rows and then cast off. So it would be this one, that one, and then cast off. So if you feel like you have enough white to do that, then by all means do that. I don't think I have enough white. So I'm just gonna go do this one pass and then do the cast off as the second row. But like I said, it is what it is. So this is the first time, not the first time, this might be the second or third time where I've did these kits and it didn't have enough yarn. So right, so this is how much I have left. It's not enough to do 1 and then cast off, like I said, so I'm just going to cast off already. If you have enough white to do 1 more and then cast off, just pause the video, because this next part here we're going to cast off. Alright, so again, I'm just going to knit 2 stitches, and we're going to leapfrog the first stitch here over the next and off the right needle, off the left needle. All right, knit another one. Leapfrog this stitch over the next, off the right, off the left, knit another stitch, leapfrog this over the next, off the right, off the left. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to finish casting off with this. Oh my goodness. So I think I have some white from Sammy the ice cream sandwich. I don't know if that's his name. I'm just gonna use that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't have enough. Thank you, Knit Kit. Someone fell asleep on the operating table to dispense. So I'm gonna tie these 2 together. This is from the Sammy sandwich one, and luckily they're the same color. Wow, it's so good that I just decided to film back to back for this week, because it was just sitting on my desk. So good thinking. All right, let's continue. Alright, then I'm going to cast off this final stitch, yarn over, leapfrog it over the yarn over, pull it off the right and the left. Then we'll pull the right needle out, tighten up the loop, and we made our final rectangle. Whether or not it's going to be the right size is another story. Okay, so let's pull out our other rectangles here. Okay, so now we're going to need our plastic needle, and we are going to take the larger green one and we're going to sew the sides together. All right, and it normally tells you what side everything should be on, so it doesn't, but we're going to place the prettier side on the inside. Okay, so here we're just going to line up the rows, and we're going to sew it all together. Okay, and once we are here, let's see what else we have to do. Okay, so now we have to sew the this little square at the bottom. So I'm gonna put the prettier side inside because we're going to be flipping this inside out. How did I do this before? I think if you have, yeah, so I have this shot glass. I just need something to hold the circle open. So I've done it in previous projects before, but I'm going to take a shot glass, flip it upside down, put this on here. That way I have like a shape forming. Actually, no, not a shot glass. Let's see, I have this. You can use a shot glass. I actually happen to have this tiny little container. So we're gonna keep this like that. I'm gonna place the prettier side on the underside like that, and then I'm gonna sew my way around. Okay, I'm gonna see if this, you have to kind of guesstimate when you think this piece of yarn is gonna conk out. So let's see, so that when this dies I can just pick up the tail and finish the rest. Alright, so now that we got that, I'm gonna start sewing this in. And that way and you want to go in the stitch. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go around the edges. You're going to come up where that overlaps. In fact, we could put it down here and then come back up. Okay, and then I am nearing the end of this one, but I'm just gonna tie it to the next tail that we have here. So I can tie it around this tail here. Let me just thread this up here. And that's just to secure that one. So I'm threading the new tail. I'm gonna actually have it come up next to this last tail here, and I'm going to tie it together, double knot. Okay, then we're going to continue sewing our way around. Alright, so now that I'm all the way back around, I'm going to take this thing that just happens to be here, and I'm going to use that to tie together twice. Alright, so now we can remove this needle here, remove this off of my little container. I'm going to now flip this inside out so that the nicer side, see how it's kind of like jacked? We don't need to worry about that because when we flip it, it's gonna look fine. So here we are. If you want, you could put in cardboard pieces to make a flat bottom, You can cut a cardboard piece to make a stiff wall. I'm not going to do any of that. All right. Now after that, we have to take this rectangle and we're going to fold it in half. And it's going to have the good side showing out. So it's disappointing. I think that if I, like I said, had enough green, this wouldn't be like this. So a little upset about that. But we're folding it in half this way to have the good side show. And we're going to sew, and I don't know how we're gonna do this because they want you to sew these two sides. The problem is that we have all this to go down. We don't have enough. So what I'm gonna do is do this side first, then sew around, and then sew the other side. I don't know, or at least sew this side, sew this to the cup, then sew this side together. I don't have enough yarn to be playing around here. I could cut it and then do the other side, but we're risking, let me see, I do have this from Sammy. All right, we're just gonna use this. Comment below, let me know if you're struggling with the amount of yarn that you don't have. So yeah, all right, well, I solved my problem. Unfortunately, if you did not have Sammy, you don't have the same white. You could use white thread, sewing thread, and it could disappear. You know, that's all I can think of. And I don't even know if any of this is enough to even go around. So I might actually have to find white yarn somewhere. But this one was very disappointing, I must say. Alright, so I gotta try to find the most minimal usage of yarn. So I'm going to be skipping rows. This is now this is gonna be a survival mode at this point. So kind of skipping rows, but I am going to make up for it by going back down. And you might not think you're saving, but you are kind of saving. If I'm not going normal, that's extra looped yarn I'm using. I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to get up and back down. So all right, and then once we're here, we can then use this to sew on. But meanwhile, I am going to take this off. I'm going to string this back on, this piece that I found, pieces. And in this situation, I can actually just start from the top. But what I'm gonna do is tie this end together as minimal as possible so that I don't waste too much of the white. Double knot. We can tuck this into the lid like that. All right, then I'm going to again just find my way down the side without using too much yarn, hopefully. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to hide white against the lime, and I don't have any lime to even use. So I think that they dropped the ball on this one, at least for this, my kit. Maybe for the other ones. I'm gonna tuck these pieces inside. Then continue to sew. All right, so maybe this tail here can finish the other side of the cup lid. All right, so I'm going to pull this one. I guess I can just use this one. Let's see. You know what's crazy? It doesn't even tell you to like sew in the corners, but all right, so we have this. We gotta fit this on top. I don't even know how to. This is terrible. Alright. Look at the white piece to make sure. Okay, so we're gonna stuff this before. I'm not gonna do what I did last time and forget that I had stuffing. And used my own stuffing. I'm gonna use their stuffing. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna slip this cap on and we're gonna sew one of the sides to the cup. I mean, this, you're supposed to make it look like a triangle and it's not. I think what they forgot to tell you is to sew the sides down, because when I did the boba buddy, they had me sew the sides down. But maybe I can try with a little bit of lime left, so I'll do that after. So let's just sew this together. I'm starting to get a little sad about this project here. Alright, I'm gonna try to sew it at the top of the lid here when I come back in, just so that I have a lip. So I'm going to come up right where it meets the lime. And I'm just going to go stitch for stitch and see what happens. Alright, so this is what we're working with. Comment below if this is what you got. I think they forgot to tell you to fold it down. So what I'm going to do is, I actually have this left here. I'm going to use it to sew this down. I just don't know if I should sew it on the outside like this to make that little cone on top, or if I should fold it in like this and sew it this way. I think I might do that actually. So, alright, if in case you want to be ambitious and make this look like what's on the box, I'm going to push in this corner. I feel like that's something they should have told you when we were folding this in half, but you see how I'm making like a slant here? So, do that. I'm going to sew right along the side here. It's not going to look perfect, but you know what? They really dropped the ball on this one. So, I'm just going to do this. Okay, and then I'm gonna find a moment to tie my knot. You're gonna see it, but what can you do? Okay. Then I'm going to, I was going to use this. Yeah, I have a little bit of green, so I'm going to try to use this one. And we're going to do the other side. So the other side again, push the corner in to itself. And then we're going to sew this together so it makes it look like, you know, a cone. And I'm going to start at the top. Alright, try to make the most minimal knot possible. Try to tie this twice. Okay. Okay, then I'm going to try to tie my knot. And then come in here, go out someplace random. Pull it all the way out. Alright, and then you can shape your cone to look like a cone. But at least now we have a cone and not some weird, you know, pillow cover on it. Alright, so now from here we have to twist the pipe cleaners together. They fold the ends so that you don't poke yourself. This I do not recommend for a little child or a pet. They can poke themselves and, you know, I've actually poked myself on a pipe cleaner and broke skin, so you don't want to do that. But we're going to take this and we're going to twist it. To make a straw. Okay. Then we have to push this onto the top. So I'm just gonna, what you can kind of do maybe is stick your needle into a spot like this. And I'm gonna put this other one, it might be a tight fit, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of use it to pry it open. That way it won't be so difficult to slip this in. And then once you get it through the cone, or the top, you can just maybe twist your way down there, but there you go. Actually, I don't even know if it's going in. Okay, so I kind of got this in there. You can reshape your cone. I'm going to twist my, let's bend it. This is terrible. What can you do? Okay. And now that we've done that, oh my goodness gracious. Listen, you have to sew this piece on here. I don't have yarn for that. You know what I'm going to do? And it's upside down. What I'm going to do is, hopefully you guys have yarn. I'm just going to take this little bit and do the corners. That's legit all I can do at this point. This is very devastating to me. It looks like trash, just utter trash. Look at my cone. All right, let's try to pick a prettier side. This is seemingly a prettier side. All right, so let's try to sew this on here. I'm gonna come up from here inside, go up through one of the perforated holes, go back down and through a stitch, pull on this, try to make the most minimal waste possible, and then tie this twice. It is what it is. I do have other yarn. I'm not gonna go get it. It's in a big bin. And you know what? The reality is, not all of us have yarn just sitting around. I just cheated with the Sammy, and it's not even, you know, we still have this to do, so. Then I'm going to do this corner. What a nightmare, man. It's never been this bad. This is pretty bad. Let's see if I even have enough to do 4 corners. Let's see if I can use this for the last corner. Oh my goodness. I got it. Got it, you guys. This is rather disappointing because I do give these as gifts. I can't give this as a gift. This is horrible. All right. Okay, you guys, comment below, let me know how you did, let me know if you still had material left. But this is my Sublime Slushy. Sublime. And I can't. This one is kind of cute, but it definitely was rushed. Or maybe not reviewed. I think you could have just copied the Boba Buddy instructions and then it would have been okay. On top of making sure that there was enough material. But here it is. Alright, so thank you so much you guys for watching. I have 4 more kits left to do of these, so thank you so much for your patience. I will be getting through all of them. If there are any other requests, comment below. If I can't find it, it's best that you just email me pictures, a clear picture of the instructions so that I can add it onto my list and get it done. Not all 5 belows are the same, and then the website only sells certain ones. So I would definitely check your local 5 Below, see what they have, check online. But hopefully you'll be able to find these and then end up doing them yourself. Alright, so thank you so much you guys for watching. This is Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.